Some of us play it. Some of us watch it. All of us love it. But could football, known to many as the beautiful game, be more dangerous than we actually realise? Last year, Alan Shearer and a group of specialists produced a documentary called Dementia, Football and Me to try and establish a link between heading in football and brain diseases such as dementia. Dementia is a broad category of brain disease that causes a long-term and often gradual decrease in the ability to think and remember. Shearer highlighted the case of Jeff Astle, the former West Brom and England player who developed dementia after a long career. Astle died in 2002 at the age of 59. A coroner later revealed he had an industrial disease that repeated heading of a ball had made a significant contribution to the cause of his death. In response to this study, the PFA Chief Executive Gordon Taylor said children under the age of 11 should be banned from heading footballs until the long-term health risks are better understood. Thanks to multiple research studies like Shearer's, we now know the association linking heading and football to brain disease. After the United States revised their laws to restrict under 11s from heading the ball, should we act and enforce a similar change in regulation in the UK? But not just for children, but instead to ban heading across all levels of the participation pyramid. Hedge End Blues play in the first division of the Solent Churches Football League in Southampton. They play every Saturday or Sunday, and their squad age ranges from 16 right up to 35. Managed by Steve Kogel and captained by Sean Gouvert, how aware are they of the health risks involved in heading a ball?
Not really.
I'm not too aware. Not too aware, to be honest, yeah.
Not a great start, but why is this? Football has changed massively in the last 30 years, and linking heading to possible brain diseases is very much one of the newest debates in the sport. Martin Tyler has commentated on the sport's top tier, the Premier League, since its inception over 25 years ago. And in that time, he believes the game as a whole has completely changed.
I think, obviously, the finances, nobody could have imagined the wealth that's come into the game. Just put another nought on every year, it seems, to to everything, really. Certainly the amount of money we pay for the rights has gone up enormously in the 25, 26 years. The players obviously benefited hugely from that.
Tyler commentated on Everton versus Tottenham in the Premier League 2 years ago, and after that particular game, Spurs were branded irresponsible for allowing their goalkeeper Hugo Lloris to play on, even after he lost consciousness. The French international suffered a head injury when he collided with Romelu Lukaku's knee, and the club were deemed irresponsible and guilty of a cavalier attitude by many health consultants. Since then, the Premier League introduced new rules on how to deal with head injuries, and that a player suffering a head injury must now leave the pitch. The club doctor will decide if a player can continue, and not the team management. Although this example wasn't directly linked to heading the ball, Tyler now believes there is enough regulation in place to guard players' safety.
Well, I think it's miles better. I mean, I grew up in the era where if the physio came on, you got up because you didn't really want him to treat you. Of course, doctors at games are vital. Defibrillators are now standard on site. I do think protecting players from themselves is the issue you're talking about, really. Hugo Lloris was desperate to go back on, and he overrode the medical advice.
Alongside his commentary career, Tyler has coached at National League Southside, Hampton and Richmond for the last 4 years, and he recalled a serious head injury he had to deal with last season. So, should we ban heading?
No, I don't think so. We had a player who actually was hit on the head, Christian Jolly, who was hit on the head by a goalkeeping clearance, and it flew into the net. He scored. He didn't know about it, and he wanted to play on. And we learnt a lot that day. He ended up in St George's at Tooting and the neurological department, and then they looked after him brilliantly. But we knew that the process, now the protocol, you can't come back. You've got to wait for your headaches to go. Then it's almost a daily process. And I think the fact that in the sixth tier of football, and I'm sure it's the same here in the fifth tier at Woking, that kind of knowledge wasn't there in the past. So, it's a risky business playing sport. If you try to sanitise it too much, you won't have a spectacle, you won't have a sport.
Speaking at Woking, the Cards themselves had to negotiate with a serious head injury this season. Seen here from the stands, Lazar Stoj went down after colliding with AFC Fylde defender Jordan Tunnicliffe. The Woking defender rose first for a header, and after contact with Tunnicliffe, came off far worse. Lazar was eventually taken to hospital and was ruled out for the rest of the season as a precaution. He has been kept under observation since the injury.
It happened in January, and I was in hospital for about 3 days, I think. And they was communicating with the neurosurgeon at St George's in Tooting, and they said that I don't need surgery, so they just kept me under. I think it was just observation or something for a couple of days. They sent me home and they said, yeah, just all I can really do is rest. So I rested for, I think it was like 10 weeks. I went back on Wednesday and they said, yeah, everything's fine, you're alright to get back to playing.
Lazar scored his one and only goal for Woking that day, which handed the Cards 3 vital points against AFC Fylde. And he did his best to try and recall the events that happened that day.
I actually remember it pretty well. I remember the goal, I remember the game, and I remember about 30 seconds before the injury happened. And that's it. And I remember waking up on the pitch and my eyes were blurry. And I thought I woke up in my bed and I was dreaming about the game. And then I heard my physio talking, but I couldn't see anything. So I said to him, well, what's going on, what's happened? And then he slowly started talking to me, and then I found out what happened. I saw the video.
So what can the authorities do to make football safer? The Professional Footballers Association, more commonly known as the PFA, is the trade union for professional footballers. They aim to protect the welfare and status of all players in the top 4 leagues of English football. We've already heard that the PFA Chief Executive Gordon Taylor has said children under the age of 11 should be banned, so I went to Swindon Town Football Club to interview their defender Ben Purkiss, who is also the PFA chairman. But firstly, how does he manage both his playing career alongside his PFA role?
I mean, the schedule really for the chairman role is as much as I make it, really, as I can fit it into my schedule, and then there's a requirement for the quarterly meetings throughout the season, and the awards. So it's something that I can do mainly in my free time from wherever I am in the country.
Purkiss, who was appointed back in November, believes safety has improved over the years, but there still isn't enough protection at the moment.
Things have improved. Do I think it's enough? No. Do I think the responsibility falls on the doctor? But I've been in seeing incidents where a player has had that head injury. The doctor has told the referee that he's required the opposition to sub that player, and the opposition aren't happy about that. And then you're asking a very difficult question of the doctor, because the doctor's then got to make a decision on medical grounds, and everyone's looking at him and saying, no, he didn't. He wasn't concussed. He wasn't blacked out. And you sit there thinking, well, actually, what are we putting first here? Are we putting the long-term welfare of the player first, or are we putting the short-term goal of winning a football match first?
So what needs to be done? Should we ban heading the ball? The PFA chairman has an idea on how to improve the regulation in football.
There are protocols in place, but like anything in any walk of life, there's the rules and the theory and the protocol, but the real key is how it's applied in practice. And in that respect, from my point of view, I would say there is definitely room to go, particularly probably at this level of football, where there isn't that. If you've got a game on Sky, and actually there's it's magnified to a great extent, and there's more video evidence of what's gone on, and they can probably follow the protocols a lot stricter. But there needs to be training for managers and people that are making the decisions. It often boils down to, if you look at managers, they'll probably look and think, well, in my day, it happened all the time, nothing happened, and everyone's all right. So they'll think, well, the rules say this, but actually I want him on the pitch and he's telling me that he might, he was fine and he didn't black out or anything like that. So I think really there has to be training for the managers, because ultimately they're the ones that are taking the decision.
Dropping back down to grassroots, one key aspect different to the top end of the pyramid is that it doesn't have the same exposure as the Premier League. There needs to be more money invested in the lower divisions to help educate players, managers and staff about the health risk involved with playing. Hedge End have had their fair share of injuries this season, and fortunately for the Church team, Captain Sean Gavere has been on hand.
I'm actually qualified as a first aider, so I'm usually always first to go over there. As well as being a captain, obviously it's worth showing leading for everyone else, so I can show them what to do and what not. So yeah.
Gavere believes there isn't enough safety measures in place, and revealed he often personally receives side effects from heading the ball.
I don't think so as of yet. I mean, me myself, I tend to get migraines every now and then, sometimes when I have headers, and during half-time I usually sometimes come off for a few minutes. But I think it's something that could be taken on a little bit more serious. I know migraines is something that's quite common within my family, so I wouldn't really worry about it too much, but I know that there's other injuries that you can gain as far as, you know, your brain bleeding or anything like that, so yeah.
However, defender Jamie Parsonage feels the new legislation in the top tier has certainly made the game safer.
Yeah, I do, and I think the new rule in the Premier League recently about concussion, where if you have a concussion you can't play after 2 weeks, I think that's really helped, and I think that's probably enough, because headings are part of the sport, and yes, you're going to get injuries and stuff, but the refs are really good these days with like stopping play for head injuries and keeping everyone safe on the pitch.
Rugby and American football are examples of other sports that have added extra measures to protect players from serious injuries. Should there be a rule change in football?
For now, I don't think so. If there was a lot of research done into it and statistical evidence proved that it would be a lot safer if we did that, then I'd probably change my mind. But for now, I think it's pretty much safe from my experience.
Only time will tell whether we will see a significant rule change occur in football. The more research carried out, the bigger the debate will rise.